The cattle markets finished strong in 2014 and are off to an outstanding start this year. Joining us to talk about 2015 is Chad Spearman with CattleFax. Chad, cow-calf producers have been enjoying some great returns the last couple of years. What does 2015 have in store for the cow-calf operator?
Well, you're right, Kevin. We've been able to enjoy some great profitability at the cow-calf sector. And initial expectations here as we look into the summer months are for contracting prices to be similar to where they were in the summer of a year ago. So again, very strong profitability for another year, as well as cheaper feed and energy costs.
So let's talk about feedlots. What does it mean to feedlot profitability in the year ahead?
Well, feedlot profitability is going to be a little more challenging. We're sitting here in a situation where beef and cattle supplies remain very tight, but cattle feeders are going to be hindered by high break-evens, and I think the challenge for most of the year is going to be trying to limit losses as we go through 2015.
And let's talk crop production. Planters are starting to roll across the country. What is your anticipation relative to feed grain prices?
Well, I think in terms of corn prices, as we look forward, what we know today is expectations are for planted acreage of corn to be down about 1.5 million acres. So if we have a decent yield, we're still looking at a smaller supply than a year ago and probably pretty similar demand levels. So we're still in a good supply situation that's improved substantially from several years in the past. But if we end up realizing that decent yield, I think we'll still have pressure on corn prices during the second half of the year.
And let's talk about consumers for a minute. It's almost grilling season. What does that mean to beef demand, and what are your anticipations for retail beef prices as we enter the summer months and the big time grilling time?
Well, I think you have to consider the fact that we've seen retail prices skyrocket in here over the last couple of years. But in the springtime is when you tend to see your peak demand for beef. That's coupled with the tightest supplies as well, and that supports very high fed cattle prices during that time frame. And then as you work into the summer, you have larger production levels and your demand backs back off. So that tends to weigh on prices going into the summer in terms of cattle prices. But I would anticipate that retail prices stay pretty stiff throughout most of the year.
And that's, of course, domestically. Do you have any thoughts about what's occurring from an export market standpoint, Chad?
From an export standpoint, again, we've had a lot of growth in export value exported in terms of beef. That's been a large part of what pushed prices high as they've gone in the last couple of years. I think we will have some more challenges going forward just because there is a limited supply that we have to export, and the strength in the dollar can be a limiting factor as well. So I think in the long run, beef export demand will be very good, but there will be some limitations here over the next couple of years.
So you all talked at the National Convention in San Antonio about herd expansion, and we certainly are expanding the cow herd. What do you anticipate throughout the rest of 2015 in terms of heifer retention and herd expansion and cow slaughter? And more importantly, what does that mean to the cattle industry over the next couple of years?
Well, I think overall we have to recognize the fact that we expanded the beef cow herd as of January 1, 2015 for the first time on an annual basis in several years. That was the result of much improved profitability coupled with much improved weather conditions as well. We would anticipate that through 2015 we'll continue to see heifers be held back. Beef cow slaughter levels still remain quite small, so we think that we'll continue to expand the cow herd over the next couple of years, which will ultimately lead to larger calf crops and larger fed slaughter levels, and that'll ultimately weigh on prices. But for the cow-calf sector, I think again we're looking at another solid profitable year.
That's good news for a lot of folks that are viewing this evening. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thanks, Kevin.
Want to keep up on all the latest news in the cattle industry? Just visit NCBA's website at beefusa.org. And for more expert analysis on the cattle markets, be sure to visit CattleFax.com.